All right, fellas, here we go. Moving on to prep progression number 4. I think you'll see a lot of continuity throughout this progression. We're going to start off here with our 2 would have been labeled as flexibility movements at the front end. They're a little more dynamic on this prep number 4. They call us a half kneeling hip flexor. So you're going to take this position right here in which you want to line up, and we'll go side angle here. You want to give yourself enough space between the front heel and the back knee, and a little bit of space between the wall. You're going to pull your heel to your glutes. So right away, there's my quad length on the right side. When I separate my front heel and back knee, there's our length on my hip flexor. Chest is up big. I'm simply going to shift forward. So I'm squeezing my right glute in this place, in this position, to keep length on that right side hip flexor. As I shift forward, to get length on the flexor and the quad. And of course, we'll switch sides. Coming off that, we'll go into our rocking ankle pike. And for this one, we're going to set ourselves up in a position that my hands and feet are about here. Now, the more flexible I am, the more my feet can come in close to my hands and my knee go back. I want to lock in this case, my left knee, get length on my left hamstring. And I should end up feeling this through the entire back side of my left side. So from right here, this is a relaxed position. When I say down, hips up, there's my stretch position, and I relax down. Hips up, heel down, in 2. In 3, notice I'm just driving my heel down, hips up, and I'm gonna fill out my entire back side of my left side, rocking ankle pike. All right, next we move on to a windshield wiper, and this is gonna promote good hip internal rotation. So I'm gonna go chest down, knees and feet together. I'm simply gonna separate my feet. And by separating my feet, keep my knees together, that's creating internal rotation at the hip. Now, from there, we'll move on to a sequence of movements that take you through a half kneeling stance, which we've used. We're gonna go with what's called a hip swivel to an ankle adductor dip, and then finish with a windmill for the T-spine. So first of all, hip swivel. If I'm using this sequence, my left knee down, my right hip step down, I'm gonna brace my lumbar, and I'm gonna start in a seated back position, and I'm gonna bring my hips and squeeze them forward. I'm not extending my lumbar spine, I'm just squeezing my hips through. I'm gonna sit back. And hips through, and sit back. Hips through, again, brace that lumbar, making sure I'm moving through the hips and not the lumbar. Once we work that, I'm gonna come up to this position. So right here, my shoulders are parallel to the wall, my foot and my knee are in line, pointing in the perpendicular direction. I'm gonna work on getting ankle flexion like we've done against the wall and some dynamic groin flexibility. So here's my pattern right here. It's called an adductor dip. I don't want to get too far out. Right? I can't get flexion on the ankle, but I don't want to get too close in where my heel pops up. I want to get a good range of motion at that ankle, and again, I'm getting work at the groin as well. From there, we'll turn to what's called a windmill. So you just bring the leg around the front now. Here's my half kneeling position. My glute is tight on the left side for extended hip. I'm braced here at the lumbar, belly button forward, chest is big. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate back. Should look somewhat similar to the thoracic rotation mobility drills we've done. But notice this stays here, so I'm separating the shoulders from the hips. Now, after we go through that sequence, we simply go through it on the other side in all those positions. So you can see that one turns over really well through the mobility drills. Now, moving on to activation, where you see a quad SK straight knee hip extension. So in prep number 3, we were braced and we were working here, working hip extension with a bent knee. Now we're going to add knee extension with the hip extension. So now what we've got, in addition to a stable core with glute and hamstring working to extend the hip, we're adding in the quad to extend the knee. So now we're getting multiple joints flexing and extending to make it even more functional. And of course we work on the other side as well. After that, we're going to do, with our deceleration series, we're actually going to add some acceleration to it on the deceleration jumps. What we'll do in prep 4 is we're going to add a box jump to a single leg landing. So a jump implies coming off 2 feet, but I'm going to land on 1. So if I do a box jump to a single leg landing, it would look like that, landing on 1, or landing on 1. If I went lateral, I would jump laterally and land on 1, and we'll flip that around. So that's your box jump to a single leg landing, linear or lateral. For the core, we'll work a front plank with an alternating reach. We're going to take a front plank position, which you're familiar with. Glutes are active, core is active, quads are firing. I'm long and tall through my hips. And then I'm going to work an alternating reach. So I'm going to here, and then come in and replace. Here, come in and replace, all the while stabilizing through my trunk, working not to rotate, similar to as you did with a plate stack. And then you'll work with a waiter carry. Now in the waiter carry, you did a suitcase carry where you're holding it low. Waiter carry, you're going to hold it high. Stabilizing through here, resisting rotation flexion with a normal stride as best you can. And of course, we'll come back. If we did on the other side, we'd be here. Also works on some good shoulder stability. For your movement, we'll progress to the Cariokas. These are something you're probably familiar with, just to show you the distinction between the two. A quick foot Carioka, emphasizing front and backside hip rotation, would be, working through here. If I say power Carioka, you just would be exaggerating your backside in the Carioka pattern. Let's prep forward.